Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shared Screens Media Club. I am in charge this week because Jordan is in Palestine for the next 2 weeks. I'm your host, Lee Aaron. I'm joined by Alec Bobko
Hello.
and we got Bo.
Hello,
We're all
hello.
set to talk. We're all set to talk about Miss Marvel, episode 4, Seeing Red. What did you guys think? Jumping right on in. Or wait, if you guys want to share like a little bit of your thoughts on last week's episode just really quick, since you guys weren't here for last week's episode, that would be fun.
Yeah, Al, you want to start?
Yeah. So last week I really enjoyed last week's episode. Like this honestly might be one of my favorite of the MCU shows so far. It's just been so enjoyable. Like Bo and I were talking last night and the show just oozes style. Like between the visuals, the soundtrack, the characters, everything is just clicking for me. And I'm really enjoying it. And this week's episode is no different, but with a bunch of added exposition. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
Bo?
feel like if the show's going to rely on anything, I feel like style was a good choice because, a lot of the shows might end up feeling samey over time, especially with the younger origins. I feel like we're going to get a lot more of those in the coming years. So starting off with, it feels like a teen show, like first and foremost. Like it feels like a teen show more than a superhero show. And I feel like that's kind of shifted with the last few episodes, but episode 3 I loved. Like I thought that the way that they pushed out the universe within the way they pushed out Miss Marvel's personal universe, I thought I've been calling them the Power Rangers. Like they don't have any flashy suits, or like I guess Ninja Turtles are the better description because all the special, like the clandestine, because they all have special weapons and all that fun stuff. Like I think they're very cartoony, but I don't need deep villains for this, or like the deep group of villains. I feel like the story is more rooted in the family, which I've been enjoying a lot so far.
We talked about it a little bit last week that, like, I don't know, it's kind of fun that she's like, oh, this girl won't help us immediately, time to kill her. Like, that's like fun.
right.
Yeah,
That's
I felt like
just
if they
an
dragged that on
enjoyable
too long,
characterization. Yeah.
if they dragged that on too long, that would have been. It would have made me question, like, okay, well, if y'all are that urgent, and if you were going to kill her already, then why wait? Like, why put up the facade? And they're like, okay, like we tried the like it was such a flimsy,
So
little
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went
like
0 to
Cameron
murder a
nodding on
child
it.
real quick.
And I also like that they kind of doubled down on her cruelty by being like to Cameron, like, nah, like you got to stay. You made your choice. Like I'll save your life when we're in the line, but you got to stay in line at that point. Sorry, kid.
Like she had that real crazy look, like in this episode, like when they drop down.
Yeah. Also, good segue into this week's episode. We're racking up a body count now. Like, they just straight up murdered a man in the streets, like, without hesitation. Yeah, just
because Waleed got one and then Kareem got the other.
Yeah,
I just love how there was like no. I think there was one point. I might be mixing up the episodes, but there's one point where they are running through like a kitchen or something like that, and like bad guy walks in, no hesitation, just clocks the first person he sees, and then the woman in the back goes, nope, like no, just everyone.
Yeah, that was last episode.
That is one of the most like relatable things I've ever seen, because every single kitchen I've ever worked in, if that happened, we'd be like, no, I don't get paid enough for this shit. Bye.
Going back, I totally ruined the scene, but the first thing that happens is Kamala tries again and is like, everyone leave! And they just all stop for a second. They're like, what do you... No. Like, go back to their job. And then when someone gets punched, they're like, oh, okay, this is real now. Everyone out.
We also talked a little bit last week about how I thought it was very cute how into the wedding festivities that Amir's wife's family was. Made me very, very emo.
The son taking all of the shoes. And I regret not being here for it. As a wedding, but I was very much concerned last week, or episode 3, of like, oh my god, Department of Damage Control is going to break up the wedding. And I was like preemptively upset that like that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it kept going. Nothing like DoD or Department of Damage Control wasn't showing up. So I was like, okay, like, is this just like wholesome? Is this just an extremely wholesome episode with no other shoot? And then Kamala pulls the fire alarm. But I'm like, it sucks that the wedding got ruined, but I'm also glad that it wasn't like
Just wholesome.
Yeah, I'm glad that they weren't busting in with Chitauri weapons. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh.
I'm saying that was my biggest fear, that it was going to be a little too realistic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, when they were busting in, and we had all the bad guys throwing shit, and Bruno comes in and just gets faced with that chair.
Oh my god.
I love Bruno for two reasons. A, his immediate reaction upon waking up was hearing Cameron call him Brian and going, he's doing it on purpose. And then when Nakia goes, are you okay? Just the average response, even if you're hurt, is like, I'm good, but like, he's like, no, I'm not. Like, I am not okay. Please take me home.
Well, he's smart. He knows that if he keeps going with, like, if I can't move and they are immortal fighters and I'm not, like, just he's a scientist. No. Just statistically, that's not going to work out for me. So I'm going to back off. He's a very smart kid, and I appreciate that about him.
I love him so much. He's so funny. But yeah, jumping into this week, picking right up from the cliffhanger of the grandmother calling and being like, you have to come to Pakistan immediately. We see him on the plane. I thought that was a great scene. I really thought Kamala went alone for a second and then having her mom out. I love her parents.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I understand why she has a hard time relating to them, and I imagine that is a nightmare. But outside of it, I'm like, they're just so funny.
Yeah, if I don't have to live with them, I'm on board. It's totally cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also... Go ahead.
I was going to say, that song that I was playing during the intro was such a vibe.
Honestly.
Yeah. It was super cool. This entire episode, like, I didn't know I wanted this, but I'm really happy that they went to Pakistan. It was really, really cool. Yep. Like, that was all really sick to see.
And I was... As soon as they went, I was like, oh, okay, so this is where, like, the budget went. Like, they had so many people on screen at once, and I'm sure a lot of them were, like, CG fill-ins or whatever, but still, it looked impressive. And I was like, there's like no way they actually shot in Pakistan right now, right? And they shot that in I just had it up. It's not Bangladesh, I'm not sure. Bangkok. They shot it in Bangkok, and then they had like B-roll of Pakistan, and they just like spliced it super quickly to make it really look, I mean, not that I know what Pakistan looks like, but I was convinced. I was like, they did, like, again, I'm not Anthony Bourdain or anything, but like this looks good. Like, this looks legit. So I props to the location designer and the producer.
And I mean, the entire team, I just assumed it actually was Pakistan because the entire team behind Ms. Marvel is Pakistani. So I just assumed, like, it was the same thing with Moon Knight, where I was like, oh, they're all Egyptian. I'm sure that this is what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that you're the authority on this.
Yeah, because, like, what am I going to do? Like, hey, I'm going to go find Kevin Feige, and I'm going to say, your shows are inauthentic. Your flashing funny book shows are not 100% not culturally, but, like, geographically realistic. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the pace that this show is going at. Like, we had our little establishing episode, and now we're just kind of going, and it feels like the stakes are high. I'm excited. Like, at this point, I'm assuming, with everything we've been seeing about the, like, interdimensional travel and all that kind of stuff, I'm assuming we're building up to a 10 Rings connection in addition to
Incursions.
Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
No, I hadn't even thought about an incursion.
I mean, that when they were describing what was going to happen, I was like, that's just an incursion, right? Like, that's just... Yeah, unless, like, it might be a different name, but, like, it sounds very much like an incursion.
I'm little and dumb when it comes to science, and so unless you call it the exact same name, I'm going to assume it's something else. Like, do you know where my brain went when they were explaining it? Was they were like, you would basically need the power of the sun. I was like, ooh, like Doc Ock?
Oh, that's funny.
Like him?
That's funny. I mean, maybe. Shit, what if they bring him in? What if in this universe, Doc Ock's like sun or whatever explodes, and then it opens up a portal into some other universe, and then the Fantastic Four come through, or X-Men come through? I don't know. I'm pulling at straws. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. Fair. I need a roadmap so soon.
Um,
But I do feel like this is probably leading heavily into incursions at the very because when the Shang-Chi post-credit scene happened, I had no idea what they were referring to. I was like, is this going to be Eternals? Is that what this is leading up to? And then no. And then Eternals gave us Harry Styles as a post-credit scene. So that didn't help much. And now I'm like we know that the next step is going to be Secret Wars to some extent.
mhm.
Like we know there's going to the next like Infinity War, like that it's going to be incursions happening. And I
Yeah.
don't I'm confused as to how they're going to make that interesting because it's like there's no way they're going to kill out. If they kill the MCU, then the MCU is over, unless they unless they really trust their audience to follow along and understand the last 20 years of movies.
Mhm.
But I say that as though we didn't like get the perfect end game, you know? Like I
Mhm.
feel like if these are the
Right.
starting, like the stepping stones, like if this is our Iron Man 1, then we are off to a great start. Like I feel
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah,
like Alex said, this is
Well-
becoming one of my favorite shows over time.
because if you think about like the 10 rings and that post-credit scene, they said they're sending out a signal.
Hmm.
You almost think is the bangle like somehow connected to the 10 rings?
I feel
And
that.
I don't understand why Captain Marvel would have been in that end credit scene if it didn't have something to do with what we're going to see in the Marvels. And then we have a hero that is in the Marvels as her protege show up with a very similar piece of jewelry. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and Tao Lo? Is that where they go in
I
Shang-Chi?
think so. Yeah, that sounds
If
right.
that's wrong, sorry.
sounds familiar.
I think it's Tao Lo. That's an alternate dimension. Like, it's not an alternate universe, it's an alternate dimension.
Mhm.
So
It felt
that's
like
the
a
other connection I
pocket
was seeing.
Dimension.
Oh,
because, like-
maybe I
so-
didn't understand the explanation correctly.
Well, I
That
mean,
is also wholly possible.
the fact that you have to get to it from a specific point in time and it doesn't or like place physically and it doesn't look like that place moves. And I don't know that like I'm not saying that this classifies all pocket dimensions, but within like within my nerd brain, that's how I have kind of interpreted it. And like
Mhm.
whenever we hear another dimension, does that mean like the quantum realm? I'm trying to think of if there's a difference between dimension
See,
and like universe, you know?
I've been going with the Danny Phantom version of Dimension, where the ghost zone. This is such a dumb
Yeah,
example.
No, that
but-
honestly,
I understand.
as soon as you said that, I was like, it connected the dots for me. So
Because you see the
Where,
map,
like, you
the
have
map
the-
overlays, so it's
Yeah.
very solid.
Yeah, where like you have the real world, and then you have this other dimension where it's not an alternate timeline. It's literally a different plane of existence. Is
Yep.
kind of how my brain was understanding it.
okay. So
Was that because in theory there could be both because the universe in our understanding is infinite.
I was gonna so in my head it was like the Jin dimension or the newer dimension is one of like the multiverses, but now it sounds like they're all in one layer and there are like multiple Jin dimension or newer dimensions across the multiverse.
Yeah, I saw an
Okay.
example online that how you can think about like dimensions versus universe is you have like string and
Mhm.
or a yarn, and yarn's made up of all these woven pieces of string, and the dimensions are the little woven together pieces of the yarn, and then the different colored yarns are the different universes. So you could have red originally and all the dimensions, and then there's the branch where whatever happens and it turns yellow. Red keeps going this way, yellow starts going this way, and they still have all their different dimensions, but they're not. Because the only other reason my brain went there was it was how I made sense of the Egyptian afterlife, the Asgardian afterlife, and the Wakandan afterlife all existing in the same context. I thought that was all like different dimensions on top of our own.
They gave Tawaret gave a like she gave an explanation where as soon as she said it, I was like, that checks out.
Yeah.
And I it sounds like what you're saying. I'm having a
Yeah.
rough time like
Because yeah, it's
some
basically
reason-
saying the afterlives are like kind of the same thing, just in different locations, essentially.
yeah, I took it as like when you die, your consciousness or whatever kind of picks the most appropriate like Afterlife. So like if
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yep.
kind of like a more mythological, like old mythos way of afterlives, where it's somewhere you can physically enter that dimension or whatever plane of existence you're on, whether that's as your body or like your soul or whatever. Um, that travels on, and that in theory you could hop between them, and in theory they would have like different things live in hell in Greek mythology than hang out in hell in like Christian for don't come after me for Christian mythology. Some people get very mad when you say that, but I don't know how else to compare.
I've called it lore. Just call
Yeah.
everything lore, and it equally offends everyone.
Yeah. And like those kind of just that's how my brain was working. I also though I barely understand string theory, so like this is also a moron like trying to explain this.
I'm also afraid that next week we're just going to get a crazy and then the time travel throws a wrench into all of this. Like, is it time travel? Is
That's
this?
what I was gonna say. Is it another dimension? Is it a vision? Is it time travel? What is it? Because we see her like physically bumping into people.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
what
she's
I
definitely
need
physically
Marvel
there.
to not do, because I it will break my brain and I will no longer be able to function. I need them to not do the Haunting of Hill House thing where time isn't linear. I need them to just stay with that time in the MCU is linear for the most part. Because if we start leaving and it becoming just like random thing, even if that's how the universe really works, I don't give a shit. I need my brain can't comprehend that. I'm not evolved yet. Like, we just need to keep it linear. So yeah, I'm curious if this has to do with the quantum realm.
Oh,
I didn't
Especially
even think about that.
well, because they travel through the quantum realm, and Kang obviously has some shit to do with like time and how the multiverse works. And he's gonna be an Ant-Man, and he's hopping all over time because he exists in like Shakespeare's time and like thousands of years in the future, and he's got children everywhere. Like, so I was imagining that somehow when we get to Ant-Man, it's going to start to kind of all. This has been my theory since we've kind of started Phase 4 of the MCU, is that we have like Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, the Marvels, WandaVision, Doctor Strange, America Chavez, Miss Marvel, all of them in this like cosmic, Shang-Chi, all in this like cosmic thing, and the Eternals will tie into that. And then we have like Hawkeye and Falcon, and like they're just fighting like armies and terrorists, and we have that storyline. And eventually, when we get to Secret Wars and Secret Invasions, we'll have them kind of all.
I keep forgetting about Secret Invasion.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Jordan and I, I shit you not, 3 episodes on whatever the last Marvel thing, lost our minds about people talking about how Secret Invasions was going to be this whole thing with the Skrulls, and we didn't understand how they were going to do that, and like all this stuff. And then we realized that Secret Invasion and Secret Wars are 2 different things. So when all that Secret Wars discourse was happening after Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we thought they were talking about Secret Invasion and did not understand why everybody was getting so angry. And it took us 3 weeks to figure it out.
That's so funny. I'm very sorry, but that is also so
we
funny.
We truly were like, I don't understand why everybody's losing their shit about this. Like, it's gonna be, think how confusing it would be if the multiverse suddenly you also have Skrulls pretending to be people. And then we're like, that's not not what...
When you put secret in front of a Marvel project, people get very passionate about it. And from what I understand, the stories aren't even like they're hype, but they're not like great from what I remember. Like I read Secret Invasion and I was like, this is hype. And then I read it again and I was like, this is still hype, but I don't know if this is good. I say that as a DC fanboy, I'm throwing many attacks. I'm throwing a lot of shade. And
see, that's the thing is that like Secret Wars has always kind of felt like Marvel trying to do a DC thing where you're having this big, like, Doctor Doom, Mr. Fantastic, who's morally correct, who, that whole, like, debacle felt very much like something that would happen in, like, a Watchmen comic with Rorschach and Dr. Manhattan.
I feel like
not those 2 together, but, like...
DC does a lot of like multiverse, like the Infinite Crisis and not incursions. They have a lot of different names for it, and a lot of the time it's just because their continuity gets so out of whack that like after 10-ish years they're like, okay, well, we need something to get this in line, so they have a giant multiversal war. They just cut a bunch of different series, and then okay, this is the new mainline series, we're not going to fuck it up now, right? And then 10 years later and they're like,
Yep.
okay, well, all right, we're going to cull these
New
universes,
52,
and then 10 years later,
Rebirth, blah,
Yep.
blah, 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 blah.
If you want to see more of that chaos, I highly recommend the new animated continuity. I'm not gonna lie, the new animated continuity is very good, but
I haven't watched. I need to.
involves the Flash like going back to World War II and like meeting like Diana and Steve and like the old Flash, like metal helmet Flash.
Mhm.
And all of them fighting Nazis. The Flash is, or in that continuity, Superman is voiced by Darren Criss, which is a choice from Glee, and American Crime Story, The Murder of Versace, and a Harry Potter musical. If you were on the internet during that period of time, yeah.
Well, good for him.
There are a lot of Glee actors in the new DC continuity, and it kind of like feels like Ryan Murphy has something on them.
That's now I love all of the okay, I'm sorry. Going back to Miss Marvel. I want more community cameos in the MCU to the point where we need there weren't any in Miss Marvel, which is why I'm pointing it out. I need more. Yeah, this wasn't like me saying, "Oh, I appreciate that cameo for magnitude in this episode." No, this is a demand. I need more. I need more, or I'm not going to survive. I honestly just want like what if the principal was what's his name? Doesn't matter. I lost my track.
Which person from Community?
Someone that has not been in it so far. Because I was like, what if it was Ken Jeong? He's already been in it. What if it was Yvette Nicole Brown? Oh, she was already in it. What if it was Danny Pudi? Oh, he was already in it. I guess Gillian Jacobs. Joel McHale hasn't. Of the main set. Like, I was going to say they can't get Childish Gambino, but he's Prowler.
If they don't ever give that to us, I'm gonna burn Marvel to the ground.
He's getting old. I don't think we can do it. Like
we have to. Well, this was my whole issue. I don't know if you've heard me rant about this, but I was so mad that Miles didn't show up in Spider-Man No Way Home because Donald Glover is getting old. If you're gonna give me a Miles origin story with him as the Prowler, we need to get on this shit here, guys. I mean, and you can't give me that setup and not give me the payoff. You can't do that to me. Especially when Homecoming is a mediocre movie at best. Like, come on. I think
that is a whole other podcast. There needs to be a whole other podcast where we defend our Marvel hot takes, because I
have so many, Bo.
I believe it. I believe it. If that's one you're willing to throw out willy nilly, God forbid, but you hold back. Oh my God, that's insane.
I think one of my most replied to tweets was when I tweeted out my rankings and people saw that the Captain America trilogy is at the bottom of the list. And everybody was just like, what? I was like, I hate these fucking movie guys. I don't know.
I felt that for the longest time. But before the show ends, like before Miss Marvel ends, like how are we feeling ranking it up against other Marvel shows so far?
I feel like it's following my general Phase 4 opinions, where like Phase 4 has slowly been knocking everything from before Phase 4 out of my top 10. Like I loved WandaVision, I loved Moon Knight. I like Doctor Strange. I am aware, I think Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, I'm aware that I liked him more because I am obsessed with Sam Raimi. And like I think everything that man does is fantastic. It's a lot like me and Zack Snyder. For some reason, everything they make, I'm like, yes, white man, give me more. Like, it's just what I lock into. But yeah, I really like it. It will. I don't think it will knock Black Panther out of my top 10 because I love that movie. But It's probably gonna be up there. Could you not lick my sunburn, please? That really hurts. Thank you.
After every episode, and I'm a sucker for hype, and if you end every episode on a good cliffhanger, then not only is it like I'm speculating about it all week, but like now I have to, like, you make me a foot soldier for the show's like marketing team, because I'm out there like,
Yeah.
listen, you got to watch Miss Marvel because I need someone. We gotta theorize. I've got the tinfoil hat and the string. Just come through with the poster board. It's all good.
No, they've been doing such a good job. Like, truly, my brain right now for the past month has just been like Miss Marvel and Stranger Things. Like, I'm gonna be a different person tomorrow night, but that's an entirely separate conversation.
Is Stranger Things back already?
Tomorrow,
The second half of season 4 starts.
Jeez.
It drops tonight. Yeah, it's the last 2 episodes. The first of the last 2 is an hour and a half, and the finale is 2.5 hours. And then we have one more season that we're probably getting in like 6 to 8 months, and that'll be the final season, and that's over.
I need to get caught up. There's too much to watch.
Oh my God, but Bo, let me tell you, Alec, I don't know if you watch Stranger Things. Guys, I'm listening. I'm sorry if you don't like Stranger Things, but I'm going to talk about this for a second. Okay, I loved Stranger Things season 1. It was like my 80s, like, kids on bikes dream. It's the shit I love. Season 2 was fine. I didn't like it as much. I thought season 3 was a big jump in quality, and like they did really good things with it, but I still wasn't in love. Season 4 is so fucking good. It starts out slow, but like what they have to do all this setup because they're building to the end. Like this is like the penultimate season, which is also why I know the finale tomorrow is going to emotionally destroy me because we're at darkest hour point and like
yeah, I keep seeing the marketing. Someone's gonna die.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure it's going to be Jonathan, and I think that's funny. Anyways, season 4 is so good. I was screaming at my TV the final 2 episodes because they start to reveal how everything connects, and you can see how they have built to this final moment since season 1. I was losing my mind.
Okay.
And like I'm so excited for season 2 or the second half. All the fucking new characters that they added in all bring something great that like you didn't realize the show needed. They're going with like much more adult storylines with all the characters, and you can see that they're like actively growing up, and like I'm actually excited for the time jump for season 5, which usually whenever people are like, we're doing a time jump, I'm like, this could be bad, but okay.
If they're learning from anime, it'll be okay.
I was watching something today that was talking. Yeah, I was watching something today that was talking all about how anime does time jumps really well, and it was talking about like One Piece and Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, and how like Goku starts out like
he's just a little guy,
and then he comes back and it's like a grown ass man. Yeah,
he's a little monkey boy, and now he is Chad. Like, what if Finn Wolfhard comes back and he's just Goku? He's just built like Goku.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of how it felt like with the actor who played Lucas. He left a child and came back a man. Like, it was so weird. Because Finn Wolfhard just got taller and like awkward. Like Lucas was starting a movie with Idris Elba and now is like a full ass adult who has like a job. Like listening to him and Max talk about their relationship is like listening to two 25-year-olds have like this deep conversation about their relationship. Oh my god. Anyways, watch Stranger Things. It's fantastic this season. But yeah, like any final thoughts on Miss Marvel and.
I said the Red Daggers were cool. Like not knowing any context behind Miss Marvel aside from basically the Avengers campaign in that game, I thought that was really cool. Seeing them and like, what's cooler than the throwing knives? Like the coolest part is like they you like what's the main dude? Like he used those as like a climbing tool, and I was like, oh, that's just Uncharted.
Yeah.
My thing is when he pulls them out the first time, there's that like ringing to them still.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's such a dumb, like when I was a kid, I would always like pull out a knife and then expect it to do that. And I'm like, come on, like what's it like a butter knife? And just why isn't it making the ringing? But I think going back to like, I love hype things. Just her walking through the streets and then someone attacking her, and first thing he says is like, "I smell the Noor on you." I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Like I didn't. Every episode does a good job of like making everything seem so much bigger. And in this, you're on the other side of the world. Someone you've never met before goes, "I know exactly. Like I know more than you now. Like it's taken you so much to get to this point, and I still know so much more than you. And I cannot wait to see what happens at the end of the next episode, because it's going to be a cliffhanger, like the cliffhanger of all cliffhangers. I can't wait.
First, we gotta figure out what the heck she's doing, like on the train
in the 40s. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I was her, step one is find Aisha. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. Once I realize where I am, I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of my only option,
right?
Because I don't have any other leads. Like, I don't know where. Like, and maybe this could be a whole elaborate thing where she passed out and then she got picked up by Shield, and this is all some weird experiment. Like they're Captain Americaing her. She's gonna run out of. She's going to run into a train. It's going to be New York City, 30 years in the future. Go ahead.
My dumb lizard brain, I'm not going to lie, when she like woke up in the train, I don't know if you guys would have read this book as children because it was like very much geared towards girls. But there was a book that I had to read in 5th grade called The Devil's Alchemist, I think is what it's called.
Mm-mm.
And it's about this 12-year-old girl in modern day America who goes to open her front door and steps out into Holocaust era Poland, and she's Jewish.
Oh.
And she goes to a concentration camp. And just that book traumatized me so deeply because she wakes up in the real time as she's being escorted to the gas chambers at the very end. It is so wildly fucked up, but that's not the point. Because that book had fucked me up so bad, I was like, I cannot do a Devil's Arithmetic thing right now. I can't. I don't need to cry and see this and be traumatized like this again.
Who? And like to write a book and get it in front of children is not an easy task. So now I'm like,
won like awards.
And listen, you're talking about it, and
teacher
if it
have kids read this,
like, if it makes kids less anti-Semitic in the future, then obviously go for it. But I'm also like, I feel like there's got to be a better way. But maybe shock therapy. I don't know. I'm not saying that shock therapy is the better way. I feel like that is shock therapy. Like it's one of those things where, like the first time I saw Attack on Titan, like I was not in 5th grade, but I was still a scaredy boy. First time I saw Attack on Titan and saw spoilers for the first episode of Attack on Titan, saw Aaron's mother get eaten by a giant.
Yep.
I was like, that's now a fear that I didn't know I needed to consider. And like, just like me, the Titans, like, just like if they just appeared, I wouldn't know what to do. Like, I wouldn't be able to save anyone.
Yeah.
Introducing fears, like new fears to children is, I don't know, that's a special power that creators hold that they need to use sparingly.
Okay, I'm not going to read you this entire thing because it's long. I'm just going to read you the beginning paragraph because it's even more bananas than I remember it being. Hannah Stern is a Jewish preteen girl living in the present day. She's bored by her relatives' stories about the past, not looking forward to the annual Passover Seder, and is tired of her religion. When Hannah symbolically opens the door for the prophet Elijah, she's transported back in time to a home on the Polish-German border in 1942 during World War II. She is not immediately aware of the different time period, but people believe that she is Chaya, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this last name because I'm not going to say it right, who is recovering from cholera, the fever that killed her parents a few months ago. Strange remarks about Chaya that Chaya makes about the future and her inability to recognize her family are blamed on her fever. And then they go to the death camp, and she is literally about to die, and that's when she is like transported back to her body in the middle of her living room.
Changed forever. You can't go back to school after that.
No! How do you go back after that? Because, like, people die in that book. Like, while she's there. And, like, you can't tell your parents that. You're not getting the right type of trauma counseling. And, like, I'm not trying to minimize this book or the experience of Holocaust survivors by saying this. I mean this completely sincerely, that this is wildly fucked up.
God.
Oh my God, sorry. That's just really what this train scene made me think of. And I was like, I am scared.
There's no way they're gonna... That'd be wild if they if they really do leave her there for the entire rest of the MCU, and she's like, okay, cool, that's the end of Miss Marvel. She will not be in the she will not be in the Marvels, or she will be in the Marvels, but she'll be hella old. Like she's gonna be old Captain America, but in old Miss Marvel in the Marvels.
Oh God. Yeah. No, I'm excited to see where it goes though.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the bangle keeps her young.
Yeah.
Oh, and then that's okay. I guess we'll get more answers later, but I have a lot of questions about the clandestine, and we will be here all night if I nitpick the hell out of them. But I do like them. I like them, but I have a lot of questions.
Can I ask your opinion on one specific question, both of you?
Yes. Yes.
Do you believe them? Like in all the shit they're saying about their dimension? Because like I still don't fully believe them.
At this point, if they're trying to kill you, why would they like they're out?
Yeah.
There's really no benefit to like making something up, making sure like before you go in to attack a child, just like, okay, we're all on the same page, right? This is the cover story. Cool. Like I feel like they're just maybe they don't know the full story. Like,
all right.
Do I think what they're saying is the full story? Yeah. No. Do I think they think that they're telling the full story? Yes. Like I don't think there are any more lies from them. I just don't think that they know all that's happening.
Yeah, I just feel like we're missing so many pieces, and I don't I want to know, why is it a blue arm? Like, that they found the bangle on. What's that about?
I thought that, but like no one else addressed it, so I was like,
there was some it might be a Kree.
That's what I was thinking. But my first thought was like frost giants, and I was like, no, it's probably like knowing
yes.
So like both times, like who else are the blue people? Okay, Kree. But I feel like we would have had some, like literally anyone in that room go, why the fuck is it blue? Unless the Kree were like super well established on Earth before that.
Yeah.
In which case we could see that in Karachi in the next episode. Like if she runs into a Kree, then that answers all my questions.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but the question about
but like those questions.
Yeah. The blue people related questions. Either that or Smurfs confirmed in the MCU.
I don't like that implying that Smurfs are the same size as humans, because that's terrifying.
Well, that's the thing. We've only seen Smurfs from far away whenever we get them on camera. They're just like really, really far away. That's why they look so small. Smurfs are actually like 6'7" on average. Papa Smurf is a full 8 feet tall. And he's mean.
I can't think about Papa Smurf anymore, because in How I Met Your Mother, while Lily's pregnant, she's a sex dream about Papa Smurf. And that ruined Papa Smurf for me for the longest time.
What a show that must be.
So weird. It is aged so weirdly. Like, not even poorly, just weird.
That's the vibe yeah, okay. We'll start a How I Met Your Mother podcast eventually.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where we go, how we move forward from
2 episodes left. Oh,
yeah, we only have
so many questions.
Left.
Mephisto confirmed for episode 6.
Yeah, and like just gonna blow right by that. I'm like surprised we haven't had another post-credit scene yet.
I've been looking for him.
Same every week.
Also, the bad federal people. Jordan and I talked about this a little bit last week. They're laying it on real thick that woman is like racist as shit.
Oh yeah, no, like since episode 1.
Jesus Christ, yeah. Like she is like a cartoon racist.
She joined the Department of Damage Control to do this, like to interrupt mosque meetings and to just be herself, be her best self in the worst possible way.
And then they have them in this wet basement, handcuffed to pipes. I was like, "What the hell is this thing?"
We're gonna keep them handcuffed to pipes to make sure that everyone is okay. Should we take the knife, the pins out of this woman, the very large, sharp pins that are holding up this woman's hair? No, she looks good. Fashion over function. Like, and then, oh no, how was I stabbed by the woman with knives in her hair? I wonder how, like when stuff like that happens, I'm like, as soon as I saw the pins in her hair, I was like, you fuck him up, bro. You got it. Oh my God.
it's also like, ladies and gentlemen, if their hands are handcuffed to a pipe, but their feet can still be flat on the floor, you're just giving them leverage. That's all you're doing, is because they can just use the chain to pull themselves up without all that much upper body strength. And they can just kick you in the face.
They haven't seen The Suicide Squad, where Harley Quinn does exactly what they did, but more brutally.
Yeah. It's like, guys, why do you think in all the weird Mel Gibson torture movies nobody's feet can touch the floor? Like, sorry, that man has been in a lot of movies where he's like brutally tortured and they show every single second of it.
He knows his target audience. Fucking weirdos. I don't know.
We are getting, I know that every day, because God has abandoned us, we are getting closer and closer to Mel Gibson and Jon Voight doing a movie together. And like, we're going to have to rocket that into the sun when it happens.
I thought you were about to say Mel Gibson and Jon Voight running for office.
Oh, no, that's even worse. We also need to rocket them into the sun in that instance. They're gonna go make movies with fucking Ben Shapiro's film company that's making that weird Western with What's-Her-Nuts from The Mandalorian.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're making a conservative appropriate Western where she plays like some wife in the... And there are a lot of Native Americans in it, and you know it's going to be racist.
Okay, Miss Marvel is a good show. Miss Marvel is a great show, and I appreciate that it's here. I cannot wait for next week's episode.
It's going to be great. I'm so excited. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you guys can check us out on Twitter and on Instagram at Shared Screens Pod. I don't listen to Jordan when he does this usually. All of our links are in our bios there. You can follow us all individually too. Follow us on YouTube. Follow our Twitch. We're going to start doing more stuff on Twitch, especially going into this fall. Also, I'm going to say this at the end of our podcast from now on, any ones that I'm hosting, please, if you can, donate to any of the many abortion funds across the country. This is a very, very serious issue, and people really need your help. I highly recommend both the Bridget Alliance and the Yellow Hammer foundations if you're looking for ones that are in the South specifically. But if you go to the National Abortion Fund Foundation, they have a full list of different ones you can donate to. So yeah, if you can, please donate. And that's it. Have a great night, guys. Bye.
Bye.